Good morning and welcome, everyone. My name is Dominic Vanieri, and I'm Managing Solution Architect at Logistar Solutions. Been in the SAP space about the last 9 years with a focus on order fulfillment processes and specialized in small parcel and transportation integration with SAP. I'd like to thank you all for taking the time today to learn about how Logistar can help SAP customers improve their small parcel and LTL shipping processes. Today's webinar is the 4th installation in our series for SAP Supply Chain Execution Solutions. For those who missed our previous topics about SAP EWM, they're all available for download on our website. The next scheduled webinar in June will highlight LogicVoice, a new solution for enabling voice picking with SAP WM and EWM. First, a quick overview of what we'll cover today. I'll give you a brief overview of who Logistar is as a company for those who aren't familiar. Next, we'll look at the current options that SAP customers have for small parcel integration. After that, I'll give you an overview of Logistar's solution for shipping integration and follow that up with a live system demonstration. Then we'll open it up for questions. During the presentation, please submit any questions via the chat feature within your online view, and we'll respond to those questions at the end of the presentation. If for some reason we don't get to your question due to a lack of time, please feel free to send an email to info@logi-star.com. We'll show the same email on the final slide of the presentation as well. In addition to your questions, you'll also receive an email survey on the presentation, and we would really sincerely appreciate your feedback. This feedback will allow us to successfully evolve our future webinars. Logistar Solutions is an SAP services partner who's focused exclusively on SAP supply chain execution. While we are what you may call a boutique consulting firm, we maintain the deepest experience in North America in SAP Extended Warehouse Management and Warehouse Management. This is validated not only by our customers, but by SAP as well, with our many credentials, including some exclusive designations, such as our Rapid Deployment Partner status with SAP for EWM. Being solutions-focused, we work across many industry verticals that handle or ship product, including some of the higher volume, more complex industries, such as wholesale distribution and retail. We also have deep expertise in the life sciences, food and beverage, and service parts industries. Logistar's solutions focus around SAP warehouse management, which includes both the ERP or LE warehouse management, as well as SCM extended warehouse management. Complementing this core focus on the warehouse, we offer services and solutions for automated data collection, such as RF and barcoding, as well as voice picking. Building on the capabilities of EWM and working with some engineering partners, we have expertise in labor management and the associated analytics and warehouse KPIs. We offer strategic services for evaluating and assessing your organization's current operations and use of SAP tools, and can help define an overall SAP supply chain execution strategy and solution roadmap. And finally, since every warehouse ultimately needs to move goods out the door, we offer our XPS solution for small parcel shipping, as well as consulting services with SAP Transportation Management, which we'll focus our discussion on today. Logistar strives to be your long-term partner for continuous improvement. Our company is equipped to help your business solve some of your most critical supply chain issues through our business process expertise and the application of effective technology to help you realize operational improvements, efficiencies, and real returns to gain greater control and visibility over your supply chain. Now, we'll dig into the small parcel and shipping integration options that you as a company running SAP have. Today's discussion is going to focus on companies that are running SAP ERP or SCM Extended Warehouse Management and performing some amount of small parcel and LTL shipping activities and need to integrate those processes into their SAP system. Some challenges you might be facing today could be that you have a need to implement a packing solution or improve on SAP standard packing tools. You might be struggling to maintain or even to achieve carrier compliance for labels, manifests, rates, properly validating services, and so forth. Perhaps you might want to integrate rate shopping into your process to lower freight costs or to improve delivery service commitments. You might be doing more business outside the U.S. and need the ability to integrate export shipping or shipping from other countries besides the U.S. in your SAP system. You might have a need to improve on your ability to track and trace packages and share this information with your customers. or possibly you just wish to standardize processes across carriers and across sites. In addition to small parcel and LTL shipping, there are other shipping scenarios that you might be using, but which we won't be covering today. These include things like cartonization, or determining the optimal boxes or containers required for an order, load building, so how many containers or pallets can I fit in a truck, how do I load them out, what's the loading pattern, and so forth. Full truckload shipping, load optimization, and load tendering, air freight shipping, ocean container shipping, and the associated optimization and tendering for that mode, dedicated or private fleet transportation. For some of these scenarios, Logistar works with SAP and their relatively new TM solution, which was really specifically designed to address the truckload and ocean freight optimization and tendering process. Looking specifically at the small parcel shipping scenario, it has some unique features that distinguish it from other modes of transport. First, carriers require compliance with their rules. They change these rules often enough to make it a challenge, and they penalize you then for each package that doesn't conform to those rules. And to make it worse, those rules are different from carrier to carrier. The rating structures for parcel shipping are complicated. There are multiple service levels. The weight and dimensions of the package affect the rate. You have special services and accessorial options to choose from, and you have to pay fuel surcharges. These combinations result in hundreds of thousands of rate combinations and fairly complex algorithms to figure out the rate properly. And finally, carriers provide you with detailed package status tracking from the time they pick up your shipment to the time your customer receives it. So a big challenge can be, how do you get at this data efficiently and make real use of it that can benefit your business. As an SAP customer, you have a few options to choose between when it comes to managing a small parcel shipping operation with your SAP ERP system. You could use standalone software provided by your carriers. You could use a third-party shipping application, something like Keywell ClipperShip or Flagship or Pitney Bowes or Varsity. Or you could build something custom yourself using existing tools in SAP like the XSI framework. So let's talk about standalone carrier software first. This would include applications like UPS WorldShip, FedEx PowerShip, and FedEx Cafe systems. These are all systems that the carriers provide to you free of charge and usually install on the desktops of your shipping workstations, or where they actually will install dedicated hardware for you. Depending on the tool, you might be able to build interfaces to it from SAP. For example, here we show a flat file interface between SAP and a FedEx Cafe server. The SAP interface pushes over order and address information. The package gets through the warehouse, and at the end of the line, an operator identifies, okay, this needs to ship FedEx, so he brings it over to the FedEx terminal. He might scan the order, and it pulls up the address for him automatically. Then he'll do some manual steps to input in the number of packages, the weights, their dimensions, choose the corresponding service, and then print the label. At the end of the night, another flat file is sent back to SAP, where we might be able to store some tracking numbers, maybe as text on the delivery header, for instance. In another scenario, here we're using software from DHL, but we don't have any interface to it. In this case, the operator has to manually input all the address and shipping information to get his label. If we want any of this information back in SAP, you've then got to switch over to an SAP screen and retype that data there. And likewise, here's another file interface scenario, this time shown for UPS. So looking at the carrier-provided software options, what are the benefits? Well, first off, since it's the carrier's own software, you're ensured of always staying compliant with their rules. Next, it's free. The carriers do provide it to you, usually at no charge, as an incentive to use their services. Since the carriers also often provide you with the hardware, this can require pretty minimal maintenance from your own IT staff. On the flip side, this option makes operations more complicated. Since each carrier is processed with different software, somehow need to segregate my orders apart by carrier so I can ship them. I don't have any way to do rate shopping, certainly not from my SAP system using these kinds of tools. There's no real-time interface possibilities to SAP, so I'm relying on batch updates back and forth. The interface technologies are usually pretty limited, generally either flat files or an ODBC connection at best. And these interfaces have to be built from scratch yourself requiring maintenance and are not flexible for changes. Not to mention you have to build one for each carrier separately. Depending on how you can integrate, you might have limited or no visibility of shipping data back in the SAP system. And thinking of your users, they have to be trained not only on SAP for picking, but also on each of the carrier systems for shipping. And lastly, this landscape results in multiple instances of the same software and multiple repositories of data apart from my SAP system. Now let's consider another option, maybe integrating a third-party shipping application with SAP. These are software tools that are specifically built for small parcel shipping. And in a typical architecture, I have my orders originating out of the SAP ERP system. I then have to get that data to the shipping system, so we build an interface from SAP. This might require middleware and me sending an IDOC or making an RFC call to push the data out. From there, the data will be formatted into a flat file, or maybe open a database connection to get it into the SAP system, or into the shipping system, I'm sorry. Many times the shipping systems are not capable of doing all of the rating or routing logic themselves, so they then integrate to yet another carrier engine in the background to do those tasks for them. This is especially common with FedEx. Then the data all has to make its way back to SAP once you ship the package. So we're looking at a 3- or 4-tier architecture with multiple points of failure and a lot of data moving back and forth over your network. So what are the advantages of going this route? Well, compared to standalone software, these systems are more feature-rich and offer somewhat better integration options for communicating with SAP. They do move you away from having multiple instances of the same software and give you more enterprise-wide access and maintenance depending on the solution. They also standardize your processes across carriers, giving you one common way to ship. Downsides? Well, we have to integrate them using middleware or else rely on older interface technologies like RFC. They add another layer between SAP and the carrier engines, which all of them do use in some shape or fashion. These solutions add a non-SAP system into your landscape and also require their own database installation like Microsoft SQL Server or Oracle to support them. Many of these solutions require an installation locally at each shipping site as well. So the vendors of this software, they're not specialized in SAP. They're specialized in their shipping tools. So they don't really understand your SAP system or how to store data in it. If they offer a solution, it's usually just dumping everything into a Z table for you to figure out on your own. If you want to integrate any features upstream in your process, like rate shopping or service validation, it'll require custom development for you and for the vendor. Any customizations for business rules will need to be done either in the vendor's proprietary development language or using other non-SAP scripting tools. We still need to train our users on another application. And lastly, these solutions might not meet all of your functional needs. A lot of times they're limited in their support for international shipping or hazmat, for instance. A third option for you to try is to try and leverage SAP as much as possible and use their XSI framework. XSI stands for the Express Shipping Interface and was introduced as we know it today by SAP in their release 4.6c. It offers you a way to configure in your SAP system some carrier-specific data elements and then communicate shipping data with carrier systems using IDOCs. The idea is for you to push an IDOC from SAP deliveries or shipments to a middleware like the old SAP Business Connector or maybe XI, and then push that to a carrier system and then get replies back the same way, essentially a very asynchronous process. You also have the option of generating labels directly from SAP, but you have to do all the development yourself. So why would you go this route? Well, it uses a lot more of your SAP ecosystem compared to the first two solutions we've seen. Shipping data is stored in standard SAP tables, and SAP has provided a well-integrated cockpit that can be viewed from a sales order, delivery, or shipment for seeing tracking data and status information fairly easily. Disadvantages, again, are the need for a middleware in the solution. There's a lot of development work that has to be done for each carrier integration. All SAP provides you is a framework for communication, but none of the logic for determining data values for you or for mapping data into the carrier's required formats. So since each carrier is a little bit different or a lot different, you have to do things specific for each carrier. So the more carriers you have, the more complicated your projects become. And if you go the route of printing labels from SAP, Then you have to go through the label certification process completely on your own, and then stay ahead of any format changes or risk compliance penalties. So here at Logistar, we look to find a better way to address shipping from SAP. After years of doing SAP warehouse management implementations and integrating shipping with all the methods we just went through, we knew we could do a better job. So we created XPS, or our cross-carrier packing and shipping system. This is a tool that is comprehensive and easy to use to address all of the aspects of parcel shipping. We developed it using standard SAP tools like ABAP and web services to integrate you to all of the leading parcel carriers and provide you with a solution that gives visibility and control over the processes that you need. Looking at all the options from the other solutions, we wanted to harness really all their strong points and leave behind their weaknesses. So that means a solution that is going to be always carrier compliant, low maintenance for your IT department, feature rich, offer enterprise-wide access, maintenance, and visibility, provide a common and standardized process across the board, leverage SAP as much as possible, use standard SAP tables for storing shipping data, use the XSI cockpit for integrating that track and trace information, and provide all this without your users ever having to leave SAP. So looking at our architecture then, we have our XPS solution built right into your SAP ERP system, as well as into EWM or TM, and then a direct web services or XML interface to a carrier engine that runs in the background. These engines are applications that run on a single server for the whole enterprise and are run locally on your network, keeping all the communication within your enterprise rather than relying on going out over the internet to make calls to the carrier. So the value in our solution is that it is a true built-in solution rather than a bolt-on. It doesn't require any middleware. It was developed in ABAP, and it's configurable via the IMG. The only GUI your users will see is SAP. And furthermore, this solution is certified by SAP as an ABAP add-on. By utilizing a service-oriented architecture, we have the flexibility to integrate various features and functions from anywhere in your order-to-cash or supply chain processes. Building from our strong partnership with SAP and participation in pre-release testing on ERP, EWM, and TM applications, we make sure that the product stays ahead of any changes you might face during upgrades or enhancement pack installations. We also have built-in versions of XPS available for the entire SAP supply chain execution platform, including SAP ERP and ECC. We're currently supported through ECC 6.0 Enhancement Pack 6 and offer full backwards compatibility through R3 4.7. We support all versions of SCM Extended Warehouse Management, as well as a version that's compatible with SAP TM 8.0 and higher. We've packed a lot of features into the solution to cover all of your shipping needs. An integrated packing process that supports batch management as well as serial number capture, communications with shipping scales, and support for barcode scanning for all data input and commands, as well as some options for data capture using RFID. An integrated manual shipping process for all of your non-order related shipments. A complete framework for LTL shipping that includes bill of lading consolidations, pro number capture, pallet building, electronic transmission to the carriers, and rate shopping. More features of the solution include integrated rate shopping to shop both parcel and LTL carriers, LTL services across carriers and their different service options. Delivery consolidation functionality to pack multiple deliveries in a single box and save on freight costs while still updating data appropriately. Freight auditing, allowing you to import electronic carrier invoices and compare those against your detailed manifest information and identify exceptions to charges or delivery dates. Track and trace, including automatic downloads of package statuses and delivery information, and making that visible to people in customer service as well as folks in the warehouse. And still more features, including full support for international shipping, including U.S. exports as well as foreign points of origin. Support for cross-border services like FedEx IPD, UPS Worldies, UPS Trade Direct. We also offer an integrated solution for doing AES filings directly from your SAP system without having to use SAP GTS. We have integrated address verification to validate and correct U.S. street-level data, as well as to identify and flag residential addresses, which can result in significant penalty avoidance savings. And support for integration in automated warehouses, including inline print and apply label applicators for high-speed conveyor-based shipping. And lastly, dangerous goods shipping with or without integration to SAP EH&S, including rules to validate compatibility of package contents, display packing requirements, and then produce any needed dangerous goods declarations for your carriers. Here's a partial list of the carriers that we currently support out of the box with XPS. In addition to these parcel carriers, we can also support any LTL carrier in North America, and we also offer a generic carrier framework as well, which allows us to integrate smaller regional carriers, both domestically as well as abroad. And with our service-oriented architecture, we can flexibly integrate other carriers as well if they offer either web services or XML-based interfaces, again, for smaller regional U.S. carriers or non-U.S. carriers. So you might be asking, what are the advantages of XPS over other solutions? Well, being a package solution and with our SAP and shipping expertise, we can implement it very quickly, in as little as 6 weeks. We've delivered a feature-rich solution to meet all your needs and support you for growth. The solution is built in SAP, so it can be readily supported in-house without the need for new skill sets or without really any reliance on, on an outside vendor. And you can achieve a very rapid ROI through process efficiency gains, reducing your freight spend through delivery consolidation or rate shopping, lower IT costs by eliminating middleware or disparate systems that you're using today, and empower your users with a better integrated solution and improved and enhanced visibility. According to a study done by Forrester back in 2006, a major factor in achieving ROI on supply chain IT projects was the ability to overcome integration issues. With XPS, the integration of your shipping with your SAP system is seamless. So this eliminates the worry over integration issues and really sets you on the path to success to realize a return on your investment. So now we'll switch gears and do a live demo of our solution and explore its features in more detail. What you'll see during the demo is an overview of our packing process, some small parcel shipping examples, including domestic shipment, a hazardous goods shipment, and an international shipment, our manual shipping process for a non-stock shipment, a look at our track and trace and data storage, and finally some reporting. This isn't an exhaustive list of our capabilities or features, but it should give you a good impression overall of what the solution can do, how it works, and how tightly integrated into SAP it is. Once the demo is done, then we'll open it up for questions. So please wait a moment while I switch applications and log into my SAP system. I'm going to start the process here by executing our shipping station transaction. Again, this is an SAP ECC6 system, and the entire demo we're going to see is going to be spent entirely here within SAP. The process starts out by identifying the shipping station that I'm going to be working on. This is something that we can default and propose automatically based on the PC that you're working on. Essentially what the shipping station does is it relates the PC to its peripheral devices, label printer, laser printer, scales, etc., and makes it really easy for an operator to move from one terminal workstation to another without having to keep any other settings in sync, worrying about where's my label going to print, that type of thing. Essentially follows him as he goes appropriately from station to station. The screen here is broken down into a few separate areas. I'm going to go ahead and put in a delivery number, and if we can explore some of the information and options that are available. Here in the upper left-hand corner, we have a pane that can show packing instructions. We can import text from a number of places inside of SAP, whether it's from the material master, the customer, the sales order, the delivery or shipment, so that things that you might be printing out today on a packing list or on a pick ticket, giving instructions to the warehouse, can now be made paperless and provided in a really centralized display. This can also be launched into a full screen display mode if you have particularly long instructions that the operator needs to see. We of course show the customer name and address information, the delivery number, all the various line items that are included then on this delivery. Over here on the right is where we'll see the actual structure of what we're packing with the creation of SAP handling units. So once I've entered in the delivery number, the next step is for me to choose the particular container type that I'm packing into. This is a list of packaging materials. The descriptions can be configured to basically say whatever you'd like to call them. These will link in the background to an SAP packaging material master. So I'll go ahead and choose one of these, and this can either be done by sort of the drop-down selection or by scanning a barcode, for instance. This has gone and generated a handling unit number or a container license plate. The particular numbering format here is an SSCC 18 pattern, which is something supported obviously standard by SAP. The next step in the process would be for the operator to identify what products they're packing into this box. And this is generally done by scanning. We can scan in a UPC code or an EAN 128 code, the SAP material number, the old material number, really any value that's in SAP that we can use to uniquely identify the material can be used. As I scan an item, we'll see a few things being updated in the grid down below. The open quantity is being decremented, the pack quantity is being increased. We also see now the tree structure being updated with the particular line item that we scanned, and we'll see that quantity continue to increment. So we have the option to scan one by one. A lot of customers are choosing to use this as a secondary sort of QA or audit step over the picking process to ensure that everything was properly picked. There is validation that if you input something that doesn't belong on the delivery, we raise a message and also trigger an audible tone indicating to the packer that something is awry. And once we've fully packed a line, we can update the color of the grid, resort it so that packed items move to the bottom as well. And we can create multiple containers. There are a number of features here that are available for automating the creation of multiple identical boxes. This is especially helpful for things that ship in their own packaging, for instance, or if you're packing identical sets of product together into into multiple boxes. We can also go ahead and create a new package and continue scanning those items as well. And we'll see the same sort of updating as we go. Being that this creates a standard SAP handling unit, we're tied into all your options around output determination and so forth, being able to trigger outputs either off the delivery level or off the handling unit level. This can include things like SSCC address labels or ASN labels, detailed container level packing lists, or summary packing lists coming off the delivery itself. Next thing I'll show then is the packing or the shipping process. We have a couple options as to how shipping can occur. Shipping is integrated into that packing screen, which I'll circle back to in a minute. Otherwise, we also have a separate standalone and dedicated packing screen, or shipping screen. This provides the ability to ship without having to pack necessarily. So packing is an optional step, although a lot of people do find benefit from having all that detailed information, especially when it comes to dealing with shipping discrepancies or packages that are late or lost in transit, or things that need to be expedited, to know exactly what's missing or what was in that package that was expected, without having to necessarily reship the entire delivery, especially if it spanned multiple boxes. But again, that's an optional step. We can provide the ability to ship directly off the delivery. Still results in the creation of an SAP handling unit. It's just generated with no contents. What I'll do here is actually scan a handling unit that has already been packed and is now coming to me at my station. We sometimes see this in warehouses that where we do packing at one station and then transport on a conveyor system to a final station to be closed out and labeled and manifested. Once I've put in that handling unit number, we see a lot of data that's been mapped in. So of course all the name and address information that came off the delivery, contact name and phone number, as well as the carrier name and service level. We have a number of different options as far as how service levels can be indicated. There's some standard designations through things like delivery priority, shipping condition, or route. Many people actually do use SAP route determination to help them drive the selection of carrier and service level, ultimately using the route to represent that combined value. Moving down the screen a little bit, we then have the total weight of the package. This was actually read coming in from the shipping scale that's attached to the station. We have the ability for you to configure how this data gets populated, whether it comes from the scale, whether it's being calculated automatically by SAP based on material master data weight, or we also give you the option of comparing the calculated weight against the scale weight with a tolerance plus or minus to allow you to verify that the package, that the contents of the package, match what was expected, and generally a large deviation, either above or below, indicates that hey, there's either extra product in here than what we said we packed into it, or systematically we packed something in and forgot to put it in the box. So it can help again catch some out the door errors. We have the option here to we can see again the packaging that this particular container is packed into, as well as the ability to manually specify or override the dimensions that were calculated for people who are shipping things in non-standard configurations, non-standard box sizes. This can be especially helpful. We also have the option to integrate with a dimensional scanner like a CubeScan at this point in the process. Again, if you're shipping oddly shaped packages, rather than having to break out a tape measure and measure it, can be automatically captured. Of course, then the customer's PO number, any other special delivery instructions which need to be passed along to the carrier. In this particular case, this is a hazardous delivery as well. So we can see that we've automatically set the hazardous delivery flag based on reading relevant master data in the system. And looking at, in this case, the EH&S dangerous goods master, we've mapped in a number of the necessary data elements like the UN number, the dangerous goods quantities, the packing instructions, and so forth, as well as all the name, place, and phone number of the signatory. So this is all populated automatically, for you, so that you're not having to manually input all this data, potentially miss flagging an option, or incorrectly choosing an accessorial that you didn't mean to pay for. We do support really all of the accessorial options provided or supported by all the carriers that we support. This includes all the various options for the U.S. Postal Service for shipping both machinable and non-machinable mail. We have integration for options with sending emails, This can be emails that either come directly from the carrier themselves. I'm sure many of you, if you've ordered something online, you're used to seeing an email coming from FedEx saying company XYZ has shipped you a package. Here's the tracking number scheduled to arrive on such and such a date. So that's definitely one option. The other is to integrate your SAP system with an email server like Lotus Notes or Microsoft Exchange and actually produce a much more richly formatted email, which is all configurable within our solution, that can go to the customer, to a distribution list, really any number of recipients, with a formatted message that can include basically ASN type details such as the package contents, the customer's order number, or PO number, as well as the tracking number, the link to the carrier's website to track that specific package, and so forth. We also then support things like third-party account billing, hold for pickup, and things like the generation of return deliveries or return services, which can be either a printed, physically printed label that gets included with the package, or an electronic return label with or without a pickup already scheduled for the customer, which would get emailed to them that they can then print out at their convenience to send something back. So this is especially helpful for warranty replacement scenarios, or where you might be shipping out something in a returnable package that you want to get that container back from the customer. And for some other carriers where we might not have the full level of integration, we can also manually input in freight charges and additional accessorials as well that can all be then stored with the order and carried forward for pricing integration onto your invoices, for instance. So once all this data has been set and reviewed, the process is really as simple as just hitting ship, and this goes ahead and actually will now make the request to that back-end carrier engine. I have a discrepancy in my service, so being that the integration is synchronous and real-time, any error messages that that might come back from the carrier, such as a service level not being available, or some data that's missing or inconsistent with the service that was selected, are immediately returned to the operator, so that that they're prevented from shipping that package and basically have to fix it right away, rather than that error or discrepancy being caught once the carrier's already picked it up and it's reached their hub, and having that package then rejected back to you. You can fix it right away and ensure it gets to the customer on time. So here, now that we've shipped it correctly, we can see the summary information of the last box that we shipped. We have the option to do things like reprinting that label with this exact same tracking information on it again, in the event that maybe my printer ran out of paper or ripped the label while I was pulling it off the printer. We also can scan in the tracking number and void it directly from SAP, so again, without having to even leave the screen. And if we go and actually rescan that handling unit, it opens it up now to be shipped again. We have some options as it relates to the post-goods issue of deliveries as well, which is again a key next step in in the processing of an outbound delivery. We can post-goods issue a delivery upon reaching the last handling unit of the delivery in the shipping process. We also have the option that we can post-goods issue deliveries upon the end-of-day transmission, typically when the carrier's truck leaves your dock door. Next, I'll show you an example of an international delivery. The international screen looks a little bit different, and this is because really a multi-package international shipment needs to be processed as a collective order, not package by package. So here we actually will show you each individual handling unit that's been generated, the weights and dimensions information associated with each one, as well as then the contents of those packages. For the contents, we will actually show you the the SAP material, its description. We've also then mapped in the country of origin, the declared value for customs, as well as the HTS code or commodity code that's required for the export declarations. Depending on the process and what all solutions you have in place, we can either manually input in the ITN number that comes from doing an AES filing, or if we've added on our integrated AES solution, that ITN number would actually already be pre-populated for us. We have the choice of producing various export paperwork, such as a commercial invoice or NAFTA certificates of origin. And again, here are some options for some of the cross-border consolidation services that the various carriers provide. And again, while I'm focused here on our SAP ERP-based solution, our shipping functionality is also fully integrated into EWM as well, with all the same options. We offer a standalone GUI transaction, integration into the EWM Packing Work Center transaction, as well as integration into RF-based EWM processes, with the flexibility to adapt nearly any process design imaginable. In addition to the GUI transactions that we're seeing here for ERP, we also have the ability to integrate these into RF-based processes from sort of more mobile execution within the warehouse. I'm going to show you where some of the data then is actually stored in the SAP system, and showing you, some of the level of integration that comes inherent with the solution. So here I'm just navigating to a standard SAP outbound delivery, going to the header, and there's a tab that's present on the header called Parcel Tracking. This particular tab will show me the delivery number, all of the handling units that are associated to the delivery, as well as their contents by material, quantities, units of measure. And then we can see a number of details per package. These are all configurable data elements. We can choose exactly what we want to display versus what's just simply stored in SAP. In this case, we've chosen to display what was the build weight, what was the associated COD charge, and what was the net freight charge, as well as the tracking number. In addition to that, for each of these packages, we see the tracking status with a green light, indicating that this package was delivered, and we can then see the date and time, as well as the time zone in which that package was delivered. This is all here right within SAP, without me having to leave and go out to the carrier's website to see this information, without having to copy and paste tracking numbers, call down to the warehouse to find the information. This is all directly accessible to me. The same information is also can be navigated to directly from an SAP sales order or from an SAP shipment. So depending on which end of the order to cash process you're responsible for working in, you can always get to this data very easily with no more than a couple mouse clicks. There is also the ability here to go and actually be brought directly to the carrier's website. These tracking numbers happen to be a little bit old, so FedEx doesn't have the data for them anymore. But we've actually passed one or multiple tracking numbers directly to FedEx, where we would normally see the most current, most real-time tracking status updates. In addition here, let me switch back to another one of my shipments. We have the ability here to do some checking for freight rating to see what's the rate of this service going to be, in case we want to double check that before it leaves, and potentially consider an alternative service as an option. And as I mentioned earlier in the process of packing, we can also link directly to the shipping screen from the packing screen through the Ship HU button, which can be automated through a barcode-based command, which would then bring me to that same screen where I could process the packing and or process the shipping. I'm sorry. And upon finishing that package, be brought right back to the delivery screen to continue, or the packing screen to continue packing and shipping my remaining boxes. If in your process there's no need for the shipper to actually intervene with changing any data, then we can suppress that screen completely in the background so that they just stay here on the packing screen and just automatically get their shipping labels without having to switch between a couple screens. An additional feature that I'd like to demonstrate is our manual shipping capabilities. We provide a screen here for being able to essentially manually input in shipping information. We can do things like entering in an existing SAP customer, an SAP vendor, or we have a concept what we call our local address book, where we can store address information without having to have a corresponding master record of either customer or vendor master for people that you ship to frequently but for whatever reason aren't one of those types of business partners. We can go ahead from here then and choose a service level, for instance. I'll choose maybe FedEx 2-day. Select the packaging material that we want to pack into. If we're connected to a scale, we can hit the read scale button, or if I'm doing this maybe from my desk, I can input in package weights manually. We have the support for, again, all the same sort of accessorial options, third-party billing, returns, and so forth. We can then input in what the contents of this box are. So maybe here I'm shipping some marketing brochures, and I'm shipping 5 of them. And we can also, for if we were doing an export shipment, we can put in the necessary commodity code, values, ECCN numbers, values, and country of origin. We can also support shipping dangerous goods this way as well. If I go ahead and then click on Rate Shop, even though I've chosen the service level, I can get a listing of multiple services that are available to this destination. Here sorted by their cost, getting back days in transit where it's available from the carrier, as well as delivery commitment dates. And here we can see I have a mixture of both parcel and LTL shipping options. You can choose one of these and for instance, to change it. And then go ahead and hit ship. This will now do a few things in the background for me. If I click the last delivery, I can see those details. So a delivery was actually created for me in the SAP system. I can see the tracking number, freight charges, and so forth. We switch back over to the outbound delivery display. What we've actually done here is created a delivery without reference with a text line item so that there's no effect to inventory, the general ledger, or anything like that. But we have a very detailed record of everything that we've shipped all in the SAP system versus having our order-related information in SAP and our non-order-related information off in some other third-party system. It consolidates everything here into one place, which is especially nice for when it comes around to doing things like our invoice verifications, having the full picture of all your shipping activity, all in SAP to compare 100% against those carrier invoices. So this is something that can be extended out to people who ship from their desks as long as they have SAP access, something you can put into your mailrooms as well. And the last quick piece I'll show is some reporting capabilities. So I'll just choose a date range here from January of this year, where we can easily get at all of the detail from every package that we've shipped. For every package, we do bring back the tracking number, as well as really detailed calculation of rates, such as the base rate, fuel surcharges, all the accessorial surcharges, the ability to also rate list rates in parallel to your contractor discounted rates, giving you a lot of information that you can use for analytics, for negotiations with carriers, or that you might want to then include for different calculations for maybe passing freight charges along to your customer. This is a typical SAP ALV grid report where we can do some various things like graphical displays. And so here, for instance, I can see for the month of January what my total freight spend by carrier was. And we can configure these in a number of different ways to look at trends of data. The top top customers that you're shipping to, top regions or destinations that you're shipping to, how many packages you're sending, service level utilizations, these types of things. A lot of useful information at your fingertips in SAP, easily accessible, and in a very familiar reporting environment for your SAP customers. Okay. So that concludes our brief system demonstration. I'd like to turn it over now for any questions that you might have. And again, here's a link to our website and email for any follow-up questions that we don't get around to addressing today.
Great, Dominic. This is Kyle. I've been gathering a lot of questions as they've been coming in here, so hopefully we'll have enough time to go through these. If not, we will do our best to respond back to those that ask the question. So let's just jump right in here. Does the solution work with ERP-WM on a decentralized platform?
Yes, the solution will work on ERP-WM decentralized, so that we can deploy it locally within that environment, as well as it can also be resident within the core central ERP, depending on who all in the organization needs to access those functions. So okay. Yes, it's supported with DWM.
Are we allowed to modify the XPS code in-house?
So similar to how SAP allows customers to make enhancements with user exits and baddies, we've provided the same ability. The solution has a number of baddies placed throughout. Essentially on each of the screens that you saw me go through, we have baddies available for prior to data being displayed to the screen, basically in the PBO, for any data that's then input, so in the PAI modules, and then for any sort of background things that are being carried out, things like data mappings and so forth. There are baddies available in each of those points, so that you can make really any amount of customizations you need to the logic to support your business rules without modifying the actual core XPS product code. We do offer an annual maintenance plan with the solution. We publish updates quarterly with either things like bug fixes, but as well a number of functional enhancements. As our customer base grows and as we encounter new requirements and new scenarios, we're continually enriching the product. So those all become available to you that you can import a new transport into the system to take advantage of those features. By kind of constraining our customers to working within that baddie framework, you can make all of the sort of rules changes that you need without then having to worry about not being able to take advantage of updates and upgrades in the system. So that it gives you a really nice flexibility to be able to customize it in-house, but still take advantage of having a true packaged and off-the-shelf product that you can continue to update.
All right. I know you talked about this a little bit. Do you have hazmat compliance checks? So, for example, will the application check if two different UNs can go in one package? Would your solution check if UNs are allowed to ship in one package and stop if they can't?
So the answer to that sort of depends. SAP's EH&S module provides that functionality out of the box. That is something that customers do have to purchase separately from SAP. Many of our customers who are shipping large amounts of dangerous goods have also implemented EH&S, so it takes care of doing those sorts of checks for us. We have also built in some checks through more custom-driven rule sets for several customers, so we do have a good starting point, basically as an accelerator for other customers to take advantage of to do those same sorts of checks as well. The compatibility of items or any special requirements around packing specific UNs.
Okay. We had a few questions around shipments, so I'll try and sum this up, but can the shipping station handle an SAP shipment? I only see delivery.
Okay. Yes, my demo was all based around delivery, but in that same delivery field, we can also support the input of a shipment number. So all of the packing and shipping processes that I demonstrated, work both equally for deliveries as well as for shipments, or in your environment, a combination of both if you ship some things with deliveries and some things with shipments.
Okay. How is the shipping station defined? Is it a standard table in SAP, or is it a Z table, custom table?
So within the solution, there are a number of master data and configuration elements that we've provided. Everything in our solution resides in its own SAP certified namespace. There's nothing in the standard solution that's a Z program or a Z table or anything like that. But so we provide a configuration table for defining those shipping stations. It's not the same as the packing station, for instance, for the HU Pass transaction that SAP provides. We rather than working off of that and dealing with making changes to that concept, we developed our own sort of in parallel to it. So it's all configurable, but all within our namespace area of tables.
Okay. On the packing screen, can it be configured to scan an EAN or UPC versus a material or product in SAP?
Yes. If I had an item that had an EAN or UPC, I could have put that in, and we have standard logic to first try to resolve any EAN or UPC code, and then if that's not recognized, to check for an SAP material number instead.
Okay.
And there's also then, this is a good example of where one of those baddies might come into play, especially if you have like concatenated EAN or UCC barcodes, where you might have material, batch, serial number, expiration date, all concatenated into one long string. We typically use one of our baddies to parse those out accordingly. Or if you even have different barcode formats. We have some customers in the life sciences industry who are still using the HIBC or healthcare industry barcode standard, which SAP natively doesn't support, which we're able to parse out into all of its components for input into the packing process.
Can the shipping station screen handle multiple deliveries if it's all going to the same ship to?
Yes, it can. I'm going to, without being able to ask a follow-up question to that, on the packing screen, we do have the ability to input multiple deliveries simultaneously and overpack those into a single box, allowing you to consolidate those together if you hadn't already consolidated them as an SAP shipment. So we can put in checks to inform the packer that there are other orders going to the same address on that day, and to do things maybe like staging them until they all arrive, or if they have all been picked together and he has them all together, that they can all be input in at once and then packed and shipped as a collective unit.
All right, great. Well, I mean, we have other questions. We'll try and get the responses out to those that ask these, or if we can just send them to everybody. I think I'll leave that up to Mary Angela. But really, that wraps up our questions for today. If you do have any follow-on questions, please send them to the address, the email address that's on the screen. The presentation slides as well from today will be sent out to you within the next few days, along with a link so you can go ahead and download the entire webinar presentation. So on behalf of Logistar Solutions, I'd like to thank you for attending the webinar today. Hopefully we'll see you for part 5, which is going to be held in June, and that's around Logi Voice, which is Logistar's voice solution for SAP. Those invites will be sent out soon, so make sure to sign up. Also, if you're attending Sapphire in 2 weeks, feel free to please stop by our booth. It's number 327. So again, thank you for your time, and have a great day.